Look at all this. Look at all this junk. It's gonna be dust someday anyway. Well, got nothing else to talk about. Might as well just close my eyes and pick. What's this? Fargo? Sure, might as well. A few minutes later. Oh, looks like it's broke. Well, I guess because this DVD came out in 1998. Yeah, this is the oldest DVD in the collection. Huh. Guess I gotta find some other way to watch it. I know! Piracy! Another few minutes later. No, I guess pirating is legal. Huh. I know! I'll watch it on YouTube! Simple as that. Approximately 1.5 hours later. I mean, what the I mean, that was amazing. That was incredible. But, like, what the So, Fargo is a 1996 black comedy crime film written, produced, and directed by Joel and Ethan Coen. I watched it just now, and it is a weird movie, but it's also one of the best movies I've ever seen in my entire life. Period. Like, oh my god, what a masterpiece of cinema. The only other film that I think is better than this is The Blues Brothers, but I'll explain that later. So, what is Fargo about? Well, if you look at the description of Wikipedia, that I'm definitely not stealing from, I'm winking. A pregnant Minnesota police chief investigating a triple homicide takes place after a desperate car salesman, William H. Macy, hires two criminals, Steve Buscemi and Peter Stormare, to kidnap his wife in order to extort a hefty ransom from her wealthy father, Harvey Presnell. So, yeah, that's basically the plot. It starts out very simple, but it gets complex, but it doesn't get complex to the point where you can't understand what the hell is going on. You're still able to understand it, and that's what's so amazing about this film, is that it captures realism in a way that no other movie possibly has, and yet it does have its very dumb moments too. It is a dark comedy, and people are still struggling where to call this a really dark comedy or a lighthearted crime film. Because usually crime films are very dark, and this is a very dark film. I mean, if you look at the poster, that's already incredibly dark. But the actual film, it's not that violent. Yeah, from the joke earlier on in the video, it did say 18 on the DVD, but it has been re-rated 15, and I actually watched the film, and it's not really that violent. Yes, there is violence. There are a couple of deaths that are very detailed, like the wood chipper scene. Oh boy, the wood chipper scene, that was enjoyable to watch. Just kidding, it wasn't. It was very graphic and disturbing, but not to the point where it's like you can't watch it without throwing up. It's very disturbing, but it's not to the point where you want to stop watching it. And that's what I like about this film. It doesn't go too far with the violence. It has an R rating, and that means it has the opportunity to include a lot of violence. But the problem is that films that include too much violence can go too far and be too unpleasant to watch. Like Salò or 120 Days of Sodom, a Serbian film, The Human Centipede, etc. So that's where I think this film succeeds. But there's many other reasons except for the fact that it's not super violent. The performances are top notch as well. One of the two only awards of this film won the Oscars, which let me detour for a bit. So, the 69th Academy Awards. First off, nice. But, The English Patient won 9 awards and had 12 nominations. What? So, this movie is often considered to be one of the worst Best Picture winners ever made. Not as bad as others like Shakespeare in Love or Crash or Green Book. It's not as, how do I describe it? Infamous. But that doesn't mean it gets a free pass, especially from me. I have not seen The English Patient. And for good reason. It's a romance film and it's like 3 hours long, and I've already seen Titanic. And that's the next video I'm doing, and I'm gonna get a lot of death threats once I make that video. Oh boy. Looks like a lumberjack is gonna be a very popular thing over at Woody's DIY. Yeah. So, yeah, Fargo only won 2 awards at the Academy Awards this year, which were Best Leading Actress for Frances McDormand and Best Original Screenplay for Joel and Ethan Coen. And yeah, those were the only awards that this film won at the Academy Awards, just 2. And The English Patient, on the other hand, got Best Picture, Best Directing, Best Supporting Actress, Best Original Dramatic Score, Best Sound, Best Art Direction, Best Cinematography, Best Costume Design, Best Film Editing. It got best a lot of things. 9 wins. Ooh boy, isn't that something? I mean, 9 wins. Gee, that sure is an interesting thing for a movie that no one saw. Look at this box office. Okay, a lot of people saw it, but like, do you ever hear anyone talk about this movie? Do you hear anyone praising how much of a brilliant romance story it is? No, you don't. Because this movie, as soon as it came out and won its all established 9 awards, it just disappeared off the face of the earth. Everyone forgot it existed. And yes, Fargo, the movie that, let's see, made less money, was made on a smaller budget, and didn't have as many big name actors, including a lot of actors that were making their a lot of earlier films, like Frances McDormand. She was mainly involved with Joel and Ethan Coen because, she's married to Joel Coen. But this film is talked about all the time. Let's see what lists The English Patient is on for, like, things. Yep, 55 minutes. See, those are small things, they're pretty fine, they're just okay awards. But let's see what this film is in. Oh, look at that. The American Film Institute named it one of the 100 greatest American films in history. The most recent film on the list up to that point. And where is it on the list? Does it actually say it on the list? Fargo, number 84. Would you look at that? It's in the list. Also, it's in the National Film Registry. I don't think The English Patient is in the National Film Registry, is it? So, maybe, just maybe, Fargo was the better film and should have won Best Picture, and not The English Patient, which is just 3 straight hours of I don't know what, but I don't want to watch it to find out, but knowing me, I probably will someday. Like, Jesus, who is actually stupid enough to gloss over this film? This movie, I think it it won the directing award at the Cannes Film Festival. It didn't win the award, however the hell you pronounce that. But what film won instead? Palme d'Or. Secrets and Lies. Okay, see, that's a better example. That's a film that everyone knows, and it's well known. It got awards. It got lots of awards, but I don't see anyone talking about the other film that won Best Picture. Anyway, that's enough ranting about how unfair it is that this amazing, perfect film that has so many complex themes in it lost to a boring-ass romance movie. But romance is compelling to the Academy, so obviously it won. I can see Titanic winning, okay? I don't like that film, but I can see Titanic winning. This, I cannot see. What's even worse is that I can't even see Shakespeare in Love winning over Saving Private Ryan. But that has too much infamy and is way too talked about. I'm just talking about this because I feel like it. But enough about these this unfair award giving. I'm gonna talk about good things, good movie, like the acting. The acting in this is amazing. All the characters perfectly fit the roles, and William H Macy plays an amazing main villain, Jerry. People always praise Steve Buscemi as Carl. This foul mouth guy that never shuts up, and his loudmouth gets himself axed. Literally, if he's not that pun was not intended, but I guess it was sort of. I don't know, by Peter Stormare, and people think that he's the main villain, the guy that starts the conflict, but no, it's not Peter Stormare. It's not the father. It's Jerry, who I think is one of the best movie villains. A a person doesn't have to be like have this intimidating presence or a deep voice to be a horrible person, because Jerry is one of the most hateable people in any movie I've ever seen, because he let so many innocent people get killed all because he wanted a bit of money. And this is why I think Jerry is such an amazing villain, because he's not like super intimidating. He's very awkward because he's never done any crime before. And yet, when his son is sad about his mom getting kidnapped, Jerry doesn't feel any emotion. He only cares about the money. And his performance as well is just amazing. William H. Macy really captures this pathetic guy who's only doing this horrible thing just because he wants to make a quick buck. And the other performances are great as well. But of course, the real standout is Frances McDormand. Of course, like she's great in this role. But enough about the acting. Let's talk about another thing this film is known for: the comedy, the funny. Is this movie funny? Yeah, of course, obviously. There's not even any competition. This is an hysterical film. Great timing, a lot of great comedic moments in the film. The movie knows when to take itself seriously and when to not take itself seriously. Specifically with the whole accents that the Minnesotan people have. Every time they talk and say a word in their way, it just makes me laugh. I'm not being racist, it's just, even they said that the accent was a bit dumb. The filmmakers, they knew that wasn't how Minnesotan people sounded like. But you know what? I don't care. This film, the accents still crack me up every time I hear them. And Steve Buscemi is also very funny as well. But he knows how to be intimidating when he has to be, and he knows when to be funny. But yeah, this film, it captures the funny. Yes, funny, did laugh. And the last thing I want to talk about when it comes to this movie is the ending. And this sums up how much of a masterpiece this film is. Everything is great so far. The acting, the writing, the direction, the editing, the cinematography, the sets, everything is done to perfection. But this final ending perfectly sums up why this is one of the best films I've ever seen in my life. After Marge takes down the other criminal, the one played by Peter Stormare, when she gets back home, she's in bed with Norm, and she lets Norm talk about his day at the postal service, because beforehand, the other terrorist, what the hell am I saying? Criminal is arrested by Marge, who shoots him in the leg, and she gives a speech about how it's not always about the money. And when she's in bed with Norm, she doesn't gloat about how she did a crazy thing, since that's just what she usually does in her job, so there's nothing interesting to gloat about. So she listens to her husband about a thing that happened at his job, and that shows that she cares. They're one of my favorite couples in any movie because they understand each other and they're just so likable and so interesting. And I want to see them do great things. That is how you end a movie like that. And now for the big question. Do I think this movie is better than The Blues Brothers? Which, if you know me, The Blues Brothers is my favorite movie of all time. So you're probably thinking, is this movie, in my opinion, better than The Blues Brothers? Well, yes and no. Let me explain. See, The Blues Brothers is an amazing film from beginning to end that I will always enjoy. And Fargo is the same. But I need to but the way I'm able to distinguish them is by looking at each film by replayability. See, The Blues Brothers is a longer film. It's 2 hours and 22 minutes, at least on the DVD that I have. It includes all the deleted scenes. Fargo, on the other hand, is only 96 minutes and is a lot easier to get through. Actually, no, it isn't because it's a lot more violent. So, the way I'm able to distinguish which film I think is better is by replayability. If I'm just bored or in a bad mood and I want to watch a film that could cheer me up, I would rewatch The Blues Brothers. But if I wanted to watch a film to be compelled, to be mystified, and to look at it from a new perspective, I will watch Fargo. But despite Fargo being shorter, it's a lot more violent and disturbing and takes itself a lot more seriously. So I decide that Blues Brothers is a better film, but that doesn't mean that Fargo is nowhere near as amazing as Blues Brothers. Keep in mind, this is my second favorite movie of all time. And that's some pretty high praise, considering that I think this movie is better than films like Tale of Princess Kaguya or Rain Man, films I've praised in previous videos. I've talked about Rain Man in episode 57 if you want to watch that. But this film is just the perfect balance of comedy and crime. It has amazing characters, harrowing acting, amazing acting, incredible directing, brilliant writing, and an overall sense of dread while also having a comedic tone as well. This is what I think any movie should be. It has to have well thought out characters, good direction, and an engaging story that keeps you invested throughout the entire thing. So I give this movie a 10 out of 10. It's my second favorite movie of all time, and I highly recommend that everyone watches this right now. But I'm kind of disappointed that I wasn't able to pirate this once I found out that pirating was illegal. Oh well, guess I'm gonna have to go back to watching films legally. Ugh, tell you, it's so boring trying to wait for something to come onto a streaming service. But then again, who the hell's gonna watch Wish when it comes to stupid Disney Plus? Am I right? No, it's just me. Am I the weird one? Yes, I am.